I like to look up the definitions of things, and so I typed in Google to define satsang, and it tells me a spiritual discourse or sacred gathering. Well, let me make sure I know what the word discourse is, so then I go and define that, and it tells me, of course, it's pretty much the same thing. It said a sacred gathering. It's written or spoken communication or debate. And so, the point of the satsang is for us to gather together and for us to share wisdom, share spirituality, and share experience together. It's not really a time for a sermon or a talk. This is a community event. However, I am going to start it off with a little bit of today's experience. I was thinking about it on the way over here, and the universe always seems to plan things out. And today, my awakening that I got was I get what I ask for. Not always what I want, because I don't always ask for what I want. But whenever it comes down to it, whenever I ask for my needs, I get them. And today I got what I asked for. I didn't get what I wanted. I got what I asked for. And I got 100% what I asked for. And I stood here about a year ago, and I talked from right here. And I asked you guys to help me with my legal fees. So, and what the words I said was because I wanted to make sure that I can have my daughter here every Sunday. Today, the offer was made for me and my child's mom to settle out of court. She doesn't want to share custody, but she did give me even though she's an atheist, she gave me the right of, which I'm not supposed to have without the custody, of religious choice. To choose to be able to allow my daughter to choose her own spirituality instead of that. And also, I get her every single Sunday. Okay, as a parent, sometimes we can feel like we want, because we made them. I made them. They're mine. It's, but what I asked for was simply what I knew that I needed, was the opportunity to allow my daughter to choose for herself what path she wanted to take. And that's exactly what I got today. So it was a good day. But as I'm coming over here, I show up, didn't have time to get the food because the boy didn't want to wake up from his nap. So it took a couple of extra conversations to try to get him to wake up so we can go get some food. And so then I got to get some food, and as I got here to be here early, I realized I forgot the camera. So I got to go home and get the camera. As I go in the house and I go in, set my keys down, grab the camera, walk out, lock the auto lock, close the door, and I go to open the car, and I'm like, no keys, and wife is here. So I'm thinking, what do I do? And I said I said on Easter Sunday, I was talking about, if the person I was 10 years ago is okay, because that's who I needed to be at that time. And because of that person and knowing how to do breaking and entries, I was able to use the credit card to open my door lock, so I could go inside and get my keys and be here on time. And that's what I was thinking about on the way out. So those two things together, I don't always get what I want, but I do get what I ask for. How come sometimes I don't ask for what I want? That's one of the questions that I'm posing to myself today. Well, why didn't I ask for what I really wanted? Whenever I started dating again before I met my wife, not after I met my wife, of course, but before I met my wife, I'd asked the universe to, I was specific and told them what kind of person I wanted and what I wanted in my life, and they brought that to me, and she was crazy. And it was not good. And so I went back and asked the universe again specifically. I was specific on what I wanted again, and I had to get more specific. And today's lesson for myself, not for y'all, but the lesson for myself today is, if I'm going to ask for things, I need to live bold and live big, and make sure that I ask for exactly what I want, and to live, because the universe doesn't care if the universe doesn't decide between right and wrong. Don't judge me like that. God doesn't. It's love. And there's not, whenever it comes between me and love and what I'm able to manifest in my life, I'm able to manifest everything that I truly want. I'm grateful, though, because today did work out better, and I had to look at the positive sides of it, and I thought about, well, she's going to be with me every Sunday, but she's not with me every Friday and Saturday morning. That frees up more time for me to go fishing with my boy. You know, I got more time to spend with him now without, because she likes fishing when the fish are biting, but when they're not, it's boring to her. You know, y'all are girls. Most of y'all can understand, I'm sure. And, you know, so the positive from this is that I now get more bonding time with my other child instead of having my daughter who would complain about me going off to spend alone time with him. That problem has been avoided. I'm freed of that conflict, and the universe protected me. So I got exactly what I asked for, and I asked for what I needed. There's no right or wrong in this situation. There's no amazing parable about it. It's just, you know, it fills in with satsang, with spiritual conversation. That is today how I have experienced my spirituality today in the universe, was by walking into the meeting this morning and sitting down with a person who helped me create a child, and humbly ask and say, you know, may I have this? I know that you don't believe. And she said about sacred space, I know what it is. I looked that up on the internet. I was like, okay, I wouldn't drop my children off there for 5 minutes. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you so much then. You know, because you have such disdain against my choice in spirituality, but the fact that you're willing still to give me this, thank you. Thank you. I can be grateful for that. And with that falls into the laying roses at her feet. Her opinions are okay. They're hers. What matters is the fact that even at the end of the day, even with her opinions, I still get to bring my daughter here every Sunday. And that is the true blessing. Again, I got exactly what I asked for. With that, I'm going to open it up. We have our stage mics on, so you shouldn't need a microphone. Just talk loudly so we can pick it up on audio. And I ask that we actually practice true satsang, and we share our spirituality for the day, something from the week, anything. We're a community here. We're all here for love. We're community-driven, not pastor-driven. So with that, I'm going to open it up.
Well, I'll say something that I thought was kind of selfish to ask for, but gosh, there's hardly anybody here. That's awesome. I had asked for an air conditioner, and I did a dream chart, and on my dream chart I have an air conditioner, and I have Life Mate, and Healthy Monty, that's my dog, and you know, just various things like that. But the one thing that was in the center of that page was an air conditioner, because I will be go through another summer with the heat that we had, and I've got an underactive thyroid. I don't regulate heat well. It's just miserable. And I was just thinking, how am I going to get this? How am I going to get this? And my ex-mother-in-law was talking to me, and I was telling her that I would really like to get an air conditioner, but you know, I'm saving up for it. She says, "Oh, honey, let's get in the car. Let's go to Lowe's. We'll get you an air conditioner. You pay me $100 a month if you can." And you know, so she gave me the air conditioner, and yes, I'm paying her monthly for it, but there's no way I would have been able to get that if she hadn't done that for me in time for this summer, for the heat from this summer. So that's a little bit of manifesting that was way awesome, and thank you to my ex-mother-in-law.
The question I want to ask from that is, why is that selfish? Why is it selfish that you want to be comfortable? You are the divine here, experiencing human life and experiencing life to its full potential. Let me ask you, doesn't God deserve an air conditioner?
Well, yeah, okay, I guess so. I guess maybe I was just, you know, I was thinking along the lines of, you know, here I am really wanting an air conditioner when there's people that really want a place to lay their head. And so, who am I to be saying that I want this so bad? And, when I know that there's others that would give anything to have the apartment as hot as it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the point. I was just so glad she said that. It's great, because that was the thing. I was sitting here thinking the same thing. You said we get what we want, or we get what we need, or whatever. But the thing is that we have all these conditions and things about what we think we deserve. Do I even deserve that? And the truth is that we all deserve to have whatever it is we want, but that is what we get. We get what we think we deserve to get. We do. That's what I believe. We get what we believe on some level that we're worthy of having. And so that's why sometimes we think we're doing all this work to have a certain thing, right? And then we're like, well, why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting this? Well, on some level, it's because I didn't think I was worthy of, having that experience, whatever that might be for me. For me, it's about success, but whatever that means for me, and however I decide to, define that. But what I get caught up in is that I'm not good enough, pretty enough, skinny enough, right? Because of what I do, right? What I do means I get to sit in front of people, right? So in order to be successful doing that, you have to be a certain size, right? You have to look a certain way, and there's all these other conditions, right? Well, I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. That's where I am now. That's where I am now, is that I deserve to have whatever I want. I don't have to look a certain way. I don't have to dress a certain way. I don't have to do anything for anybody other than myself.
So my mindset, I hope that I can take this a little further, just because there's not really minutes here that we can talk a little longer. My mindset is there's so many people that are in such incredible need. And here I am thinking about this air conditioner that I want. And so I guess I've always been raised to think about and to, I give $5 to the person standing on the side of the street if I really think that they're genuine. And, so I'm always thinking of those. So I guess, am I making sense?
You are, actually. And I actually call this former religion guilt.
Yeah.
Is what I call it. It's my former religion guilt.
It's about the guilt and the shame.
Yes. In my former religion, I was raised Pentecostal, and we had a belief system where you had to be poor as Jesus. However, if in the King James Version Bible, which I read, there's scriptures in there that talk about, and whether you choose to believe Jesus or not, that's your choice, not judging any way, saying good, bad, whatever. But it talks in there about, he was able to, the multitude came to him and he invited them into his home. Well, if you have a home big enough for a multitude of people, don't you have a pretty nice sized home? Mm-hmm. I can't fit a multitude of people in my home. I can fit maybe 8, 9, and we're going to be cram packed. That's going to be a packed party. But so the thing is, though, we get in this mindset that these people, since they're suffering, I need to suffer too. But really, I wasn't born on Krypton, and I was born here in the United States. I don't get an amazing power from the sun, and I don't have an S on my chest or a cape. I'm not here to save anyone else. I am here to experience life to the fullest. And while it is fun, and I get so much joy from helping people, and I'm one of the things I'm working on right now is SalemHomeless.com, that website. I met with the gentleman that's running that the other day, and I'm putting together an idea for a website. And told him I'd volunteer my time to and build the page for him, and I'm working to have that. And it's a big thing to me. I love the fact that I had that opportunity. But at the same time, I'm not going to feel guilty that me and my family are eating this evening, or that we have a roof over our head, or that my air conditioner is on 67, which is absurd, So, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I sat in a meeting one day with Patricia, who's my teacher, and I was talking about, these things I don't ever want to be. And I don't ever want to be, I always say the word wrong. I think it's called a demagogue. It's those people that they run a church or a spiritual foundation, but they're don't believe any of it, and it's all about money and profit, and that's all it's for. And she said to me, but really, whenever you get down to it, the universe doesn't care, even if those people did that. And I was like, what? You mean even though they're going out there in the name of love and spirit and they're doing these bad things? No, because the universe doesn't judge. We judge as humans. We judge ourselves and we judge other people. And what we're doing right now in this conversation, we're judging ourselves for having an air conditioner. You are worth an air conditioner. You're worth more than a window unit. You're worth central. You are.
I love that.
And because you are the divine. And if I believe that you're God, and since you're the divine, I believe that you should be comfortable. And if I believe that I'm the divine should be comfortable. Now, my goal is, working with the homeless folks, is that they can see that they are the divine so they can grow their life towards that comfort. Because as soon as they know how perfect they are and how much potential they truly do have, instead of being in the cycle of I can't, everything shut off, I'm never, instead I can. I've been going through medical issues, not really in pain. It's different symptoms, which is awesome. But I haven't had a steady income since I've been on leave from work. But my bills are paid, and everything is paid. If there's always ways and possibilities of doing these things if you seek for it, if you look for it, and if you believe that you can. Sitting and saying I can't, it's never going to accomplish anything. So you deserve an air conditioner.
Or I shouldn't.
I shouldn't. Yeah, you should. You should. And if you want to smoke a cigarette, or a beer, or whatever, do that too. Experience life.
But here's the other piece of this too, though. I have to say this, though. I think it's important, though, too, to be careful of our language, though, and to be mindful of the fact that on some level, we're saying that being homeless is wrong or bad or less than. And I think it's very, very important that we understand that however, because that, again, is all part of this whole piece. It's all part of the whole thing, is that however we show up, that's our choice. So whether we choose to show up and be someone that, say, owns 20,000 pairs of shoes, right? That's fine, as long as it's not at the expense of whatever, right? Or even if it is, because who's choosing that, right? Who's choosing to have that experience of a dictatorship that has, or maybe it was 100,000 pairs of shoes, I don't know, because 20 doesn't seem like that very many pairs of shoes. I don't know. I guess. Well, I would to me, but, and I don't really own shoes, I only own flip-flops, so.
And sometimes it's our discomfort that we're trying to fix.
Yes.
And I saw a man walking downtown pushing a cart several years ago, and he turned, and there was something about him. I'm like, I know that guy. Oh my God, his eyes were beautiful still, and in high school he was hot, and he dated a friend of mine, and I was like, oh my goodness. And so I went over to him and said, is your name so-and-so? And he's like, God, he's looking at me like, why are you talking to me? He was like, and then when I told him who I was, he recognized me then, and he's like, it must be weird for you to see me like this. And I'm like, well, I'm wondering, what, is there something I can do for you? What's going on? He's like, honestly, I love this. I get to go places, I meet people, I do drugs, but it's my choice, and I have money. And he pulls out his wallet, and I'm like,
And to him, he was free.
Yeah, it was a really eye-opening conversation. That was his choice. And,
yes.
So sometimes we're trying to fix stuff that makes us uncomfortable, not what is in their best interest.
And isn't that interesting, too, how, like you say, his choice, but look how happy he was.
He's happy. And, maybe he still is happy, and there's a guy that walks around downtown, he kind of shuffles, and he has rips in the back of his coat. And I'm always like, gosh, I really want to give that guy a different coat. And other coworkers have said, we have all tried talking to that man, and he doesn't want
a different coat.
He wants that coat.
Who likes that coat?
He likes that coat, and it was my discomfort in seeing that he didn't have a good coat that I wanted to fix.
Exactly, because that's what we've been trained to do, is to look at it and then think that we're supposed to fix it, that it's broken. But that means too we've been taught to judge that too, that there's something broken.
Which goes back to us thinking we're born on Krypton and have an S on our chest, and that we need to rescue everybody. I was homeless whenever I was in college. I was about 8-9 years ago, and I will tell you what I didn't have while I was homeless. I had food, because you can always find something to eat. It's not that hard. what I didn't have is I didn't have to pay rent. Awesome. Didn't have to pay an electric bill. Even awesomer. I didn't have to pay any other utilities. Didn't have to pay for a stupid garbage truck to come and dump my trash. You're paying somebody to take away your garbage? That's ridiculous sometimes. But I didn't have to do anything to these things. So yeah, I was truly free. I thought it was awesome. The only bill I had was my cell phone bill, so I could stay in contact and get on the internet. And it was an extremely free lifestyle, and we think about that. And yeah, so I want to make sure that you understand, because yogis who live in the Himalayas, those guys don't exactly have wooden roofs, and those guys are awesome. So
well, here's another thing though too. I remember hearing from Dr. Rocco Errico. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rocco Errico. He studied with George Lambza, who wrote a different translation of the Bible based on the Aramaic, the original Aramaic text, and it's just called the Holy Bible. And he studied with him, and then they also started then working on the New Testament. At any rate, he said, a lot of what it is too, it's the way things have been translated, and then they reframe things, right, based on what they want us to do and how they want people to behave, correct? Jesus was very wealthy. When they actually talk about his clothes and whatnot, and they talk about him, he wore the finest robes. Seamless robe. That was a pretty amazing thing, to have a seamless robe.
Can you get those today?
Yeah, you had to have the bucks to have that. Yeah, and that point that you brought out too about having the multitudes in his home. Yeah, see, it's very interesting if you look at historically too, why information was disseminated in a certain way. Again, it's to control the masses, to get us to behave in a certain way, and so the information is doled out in a specific way. Well, cannabis and tobacco are another good points right there, right? We don't really know that tobacco's all that terrible, right? I don't smoke it, but that doesn't mean it's a terrible bad thing,
Well, I like to talk about the runners in that example. If you run every single day, for your whole life, you're going to blow your knees out. If you ride bulls every single day, you're going to eventually get hurt. You play sports, you're going to get hurt. I can't pass any judgment against cigarettes and alcohol or cannabis or anything. If people want to go out and use hardcore stuff, that's not for me. But if you want to do that and experience life in that way, hey, that's okay. That's your choice. That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you not to do that. I just hope that whatever choice you make, you do live life to the fullest and for yourself, and really make your own decisions to be your own person. So we've established that air conditioners are good.
Yes, they are.
And that you deserve an air conditioner. Anybody else have anything they want to share?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm in recovery from mental illness, and I feel like I really need a place to fellowship that's warm and welcoming, because I'm just I just saw Karen at my Candlelight Concert. She's a blessing over me, but I really need help, so if there's anybody who can help, maybe on Sundays I might need a ride to come. I love doing tarot. I come from a Catholic background, so I appreciate what you're saying about Jesus and everything, because I don't know, I've wondered when I've done my metaphysical meditations if it's a Buddha, or, because I've grown in some enlightenment. I've learned more about how the Catholic Church did away with the feminine mystery, and I've heard about the Trinity of Mary, and so I'm just really seeking, fellowship.
Well, you came to the right place, because what we believe here is that whatever you believe is okay. And we'll support you in that. And as far as the loving community, it all starts with a hug. So as soon as you're ready for one of that, you just let one of us know, and you'll get your welcome. That's whenever I walked through the door, the first thing I got. This lady came up, she gave me this big old hug, and I knew I was home at that point. And so welcome. We're glad you're here. We do Satsang one Wednesday a month.
One Wednesday
a month. And we have different things on Wednesday. We have our regular, it's not a traditional service, but we do have a service on Sunday mornings that, we have I'm not sure if you're on our Sacred Space on Facebook, but depending on what side of town you're on, I'm sure someone is close to you. And we're a very loving community that would love to have you join us. And a lot of us are in recovery for mental stuff too. So recovery from something. Like I said, I'm recovering from former religion.
Yes.
I'm no longer speaking what it is I'm recovering from, because I don't want to give it any more power, so I'm done with that story.
There we go.
What society has taught us to expect. Like, if you're going to be on stage, you need to be a size 2. Have you ever heard Megan Trainor's all about that bass song? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's such a
We
good
talk
song.
a lot about that, what that song really means. You know.
Kind of counter what society has taught us is okay.
yeah.
You know, it's okay to have nice things.
Well, and
And it's okay
yes.
to,
Yeah, it is. It's perfectly okay to have whatever we want or to not have whatever we don't want, right? If that means like not having a home or an apartment or a whatever, you know.
Or a family member.
Yeah, or a family member, exactly. You know, I think those are some of the hardest things, you know. It's like, but, you know, it's because we're trained to think a certain way in order, you know, so that there can be certain types of behavior and whatnot. But I hadn't...
acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Yeah,
as far as,
What do you want? What do you want? That's the one to go with, is what you want. And what's going to make you experience life to the fullest without hurting anybody else, of course, because that's not the cool road to go down, in my opinion. But you know, whatever you want to do, is if it's going to make you happy, it's not going to hurt anybody else. Go for it. Get an air conditioner. Nobody's going homeless because you got one.
Yeah, really.
You know, no, it's you having that air conditioner isn't stopping anyone from changing the situation that they were in today.
and it puts me in a better position.
It sure does.
Things for those people that do.
A wise friend of my life shared with me, and I love this guy. He's so helpful and helps everybody. And he told me one day, he says, basically he says he's a really selfish person, that he takes care of him first, and he makes sure he's happy. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if he's happy, and we would label that as selfish in normal society, but if he's happy and he's taking care of himself, he can take care of everyone else without problem, and he can show love. A lot of the time, I'm guilty of this so much, of putting myself on the back burner, taking care of everybody first, making sure everybody else has their needs, and then dad's the last one to get his plate, or you know, every single day, or that dad's the last one to finally get to sit down because somebody forgot something, so I got to go get it, you know. But sometimes I need to eat too. Sometimes I need a drink. Sometimes I need to take a break, and that's okay, because the more I take care of myself, the more I can help other people. But if I don't have an air conditioner at night, I'm going to be grumpy sleeping, and I'm not going to be in a happy mood when I wake up in the morning. So welcome to the world of air conditioning. It's good. I'm glad you're here with us.
Well, that's where I am now, too. Where I'm now is I am so done with hot flashes. I am done.
Oh,
Got that? I am done.
Throw the covers off.
I am
Throw the
done.
covers on. Throw the
It's-
covers on. Oh, yeah.
It's not even about sleeping. I have found that it's just any time. I can just be going along happy, whatever, and the next thing, but at least now I know. I can feel it in my legs.
Oh God.
I can. It feels like restless legs, and then the next thing I know, it's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, whatever it is that's about, I'm done.
I found out the other day they call mine male menopause.
Male menopause.
That's what the book. Where,
Bless your heart.
I was with Steve at Life Source looking for the book about my hormone disorder, and it's called male menopause, because the way I get hot flashes, I get sweaty,
bless your heart.
I can't think, I get like that blocked head feeling, I get emotional and have crying fits sometimes, and you know, at night I sweat bad, and then I'm cold, and then I have to have a fan on, or else I definitely can't sleep. And oh gosh, so I feel every single one of you.
Oh, hon.
Yep.
Oh, bless your heart.
So yeah, I feel like Frosty the Snowman melting.
Bless your
So it was a good time of spiritual awakening and spiritual like sharing, I guess, about my menopause as well. But you're not alone, and ever. That's the one thing to also remember is if you feel alone at any point, there is a community here that loves you and supports you, and if you ever question on whether or not you should have an air conditioner or something nice, ask one of your friends here, and because we do that, and not just air conditioners, shoes.
Well,
even.
that's with everything, though. That's a beautiful, you know, and her willingness to share that and speak that out. And then when you called her out on it, you know,
Why not?
You'll be lucky if she ever comes back. No.
So all those things that I put on my dream board.
Get them.
You deserve it all.
Yes.
And more and better.
Well, maybe I shouldn't ask the universe for that because I just,
Do it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if you want it, grab it, go with it. Grab life by the horns. Kind of just do it. Nike has the most awesome slogan with that. They say just do it. And I like that. And it's the true life. It's just do it. If you want it, just do it. Go for it. It's life to experience.
Well, because, I looked at it a few months ago. I started being very clear. I started thinking about how there's all these double messages, right? I think we talked about this before, how we're being told to succeed, and then at the same time we're also told, oh, don't shine your light so bright. Why do you have such a big ego? Can't you just, right? Yeah. And so those are, again, I think a lot of it's getting back to that awareness that bottom line, like you said, what makes me happy? And if what that isn't, harming other people, then what's the problem with that,
I like to snack late at night. That's what makes me happy. Late night snacking. I got up last night. It was like 10:30, which is way too late for greasy foods. And I hadn't had anything fried in a while. And I had this big jar of pickles. And I was like, I can make some fried pickles. So I grabbed some flour and cornmeal. Yeah, fried pickle. I'm from the South. Yeah, I'm from Texas, y'all. Yeah, cornmeal and flour. Some cornmeal and some flour. Oh, it's so good. You just take like half cornmeal and half flour, throw it in there. And, but that's the thing. I knew I was going to get some indigestion from it. And I knew I was going to wake up this morning. And Harlem's joining us. I knew I was going to get indigestion and wake up this morning with it, but I wanted it anyway. And I was just telling you earlier about the fudge. It's like I love that feeling where sometimes I gorge on like sweets late at night, like chocolate or fudge or something, and I get that I shouldn't have done that. I feel so naughty. But it's good. It's good to feel that sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
It's good to feel like if the most unhealthy thing I'm doing in my life is eating a little bit of late night snacking, I'm doing pretty dang good. And if you're at that area in your life where the most unhealthy thing you're doing is eating some late night snacking or some late night candy or getting an air conditioner, you're doing pretty good because there's nothing wrong with it.
When you get that upset stomach feeling, swallow a little tablespoon of baking soda, neutralizes the acid, you feel great.
Greasy foods, here I come.
There we go.
I'm going home to fry everything tonight.
Got a teaspoon of baking soda, you get that down, you feel fine in 30 seconds.
Probably belch a little too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Why don't we ask for what we want?
Yeah.
I'm discovering that part of my barriers is I don't always know exactly what I want. And that's because what I don't want is more uncomfortable and it's more pressing. It stands out more in my mind sometimes. And so I have to really consciously put effort into formulating what do I want, because it's so obvious what I don't want sometimes. And
But don't they say that if you're thinking all the time about what you don't want, that's what you get more of?
exactly, because it's the law of attraction. And so I have to really be conscious of my thoughts and notice, instead of thinking, oh, this job sucks, I don't want to work here anymore. Well, where do I want to work? Somewhere better. Okay, what does that mean? And that's taken a little work for me.
Well, it's like that song, I always hear that, and I remember doing that for a while with people too. It seemed like I would have so many conversations with people where they would start right off telling me what they didn't want. And I'd look at them, I'd be like, okay, now you just spent 10 minutes telling me all about what you don't want. So what can we do now? So I think it becomes becoming aware of that and having that awareness that, oh, okay, I'm getting focused on what I don't want here. So how do I clarify what I do want? But I really do think, I wonder if how much of us being able to clarify what we want isn't tied into the fact that, first of all, we don't believe we deserve whatever it is anyway. So why even want it? But then at the same same time, we're being told that we deserve to have whatever we want because we're the divine, right? So we have this constant, there's like this dilemma that's going on, and But the bottom line is that we do deserve whatever it is. If we live in an infinite universe, then how could whatever it is we're wanting to have in any way, shape, or form take away from somebody else, right? If it's an infinite universe, how could one air conditioner, right? Or anything, how could one Grammy, right? One Grammy. And yet I sit here thinking, then I start thinking, why do I want it? And then we get into that too. Do we need to justify all of that? No, we don't.
Well, I also get attached to the outcome. And that's the other thing that I have to consciously, like this one with your daughter, or the legal fees, let's say, I get attached to, okay, how am I going to make that happen? It's the action. Where sometimes it's not up to me to take the action. I'm just supposed to show up.
Yes.
And, the universe has grander plans and can do things in ways I couldn't even imagine. It's not up to me to make it happen.
It's funny you mention that, because sometimes it feels like if whenever these bad things in life are hitting me, if I just chill, sit back, and just watch the show without reacting in a crazy way, it all seems to be okay at the end of it. And I think back to 6th grade, if you guys can remember that far back with me. They called me Tinker Tush and Titanic Butt. That was my nicknames. No, it's okay. Tinker Tush and Titanic Butt. Titanic had just come out around the time. Oh, I know. It was good stuff. So that was the nickname they called me. And 6th grade was a very hard year for me. I spent a lot of time crying, and I spent a lot of time being sad, and I was actually hospitalized that year for depression. And I thought that I would never escape Tinker Tush or Titanic Butt. I thought that's who I was going to be my whole life. That person, that name that they called me, and that feeling that they gave me. But the truth is, today I'm Jeremy. I'm not Tinker Tush and Titanic Butt. And I looked that kid up on Facebook. I'm much cooler than him, okay? And my wife is prettier. But that's just that kind of thing. It's, if I would have let that ruin my whole entire life, what would it have been worth? If I would have missed out on the last 20 or 17 years, I would have, 6th grade is like 13, I think. If I missed out on that long, all them years, over some people calling names or something like that. And to me, the reason I use that example is because in 6th grade, there seems like such a big time in your life, this conflict. But it's impressionable. Yes. But they said at that time, and I heard these teachers saying, they're like, it's not the shoes that you wear today or the friends that you have now that's going to matter in 10 years. And so today I have to remind myself, the conflict I'm having today probably isn't going to matter in a week. It may not matter in 5 minutes. It may not matter in an hour. So what's the point in wasting my time on it? What's the point in continuing to have it go? Human, understandable. Sometimes I might be angry for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. But if I'm getting on to 3 or 4, I'm kind of starting to waste my day there, because you only have 24 in a day. That's a sixth of it right there. So, that's what I want. I deserve happiness, and I deserve to have that air conditioner. And I think one of the things that helps get me there is by not wasting that time in that discord, that unhappiness, that sorrow, that what if I can't get my legal fees? What if there's so many what ifs whenever it comes to not having joint custody. And what I'm focused on, here's the one thing I lost, that's the big one. If we had joint custody, there would be so much room for argument still, because there's nothing like hardcore written in stone with that. You then have to agree to something every single time. Not having to do it this way, though I feel like I lose a battle or whatever at any time, if you want to label it that, that I gain not having to deal with that, which is a completely different horse and a much larger horse that I don't want to have to deal with, because that's a horse that continues to last every single year. Doing it this way, it seems better. I got exactly what I asked for. And that's the good thing today that I can share on that. Does anybody?
Isn't that crazy when you have 20 people telling you that you're amazing and you're beautiful and you're a pleasure to be around, and you've got one person that says, I can't stand you, you're ugly, and and that's the one comment.
That's what we focus on.
Sticks in your brain instead of the 20 people that say that you're amazing.
And I think it's because, again, there's that core belief. If we have a core belief that we're not good enough on some level, for whatever reason that we bought into that core belief, right? Then, until we can get rid of that or reform it or create a new belief that says I am worthy of whatever I want, I am good enough to have it all, and whatever that is. And also, too, that it doesn't even matter. I think one of the biggest things, too, is realizing that it does not matter what other people think of us. It does not matter. It doesn't. Right here is a beautiful example of that, right? We could all sit here and have a story about that, right? It's a choice. We don't have to have a story.
Well, why don't we get up and run back and forth like
yes. Oh, my God. Wouldn't it be lovely to have that much energy? Oh, my God. I would just, I'm like, oh, please, here, let me have some of that.
Not feeling self-conscious about is somebody thinking my behavior is inappropriate?
Right, yes.
And just feeling joy. He's just enjoying it.
Yes, exactly.
That's all that matters.
And there might be a deeper thing going on here, too, that none of us realize about, too, about what other people's needs might be in terms of, but that's what's a beautiful example about it is that he's a person. He's an individual. These might be his parents, right? These are his parents, but he's still an individual, and he on some level is going to individuate. He's going to Harlemine, right, whatever that means. On some level, he's doing something knowing that it might be upsetting somebody, right?
He's pushing it to see if he can.
He's pushing it to see if he can, to see what happens. So I'm surprised he hasn't dropped yet.
No, he's off on a tangent. He's like, oh wow, they're letting me run during service. I'm going to do this until it's in.
Of course, they're going to get negative.
Yeah.
You just run if you want to, but
not really getting any reinforcement at all is what it is, and that's another interesting thing too. Is that what would happen to us if we didn't get anything one way or another? How would we show up if we were allowed to just show up? I don't know. I'm thinking I might just show up and have more fun. That I might just show up, and if I feel like running around, I'm going to run around and not worry about it. If I feel like wearing flip-flops, I'm going to wear flip-flops, right? Or
be barefoot.
Or even just be totally barefoot altogether, right? Yeah, I'm too tender for that. It hurt my feet.
That's water shoes as far as I can go. So I appreciate everybody being here this evening. With this, I want to share a mistake I made this week. I was talking to my daughter, and I was trying to reach her on her level, and she's all into the princess thing. And here's the mistake I made, and I'll share with you how my daughter was right. She had a very poor attitude. It was throwing a fit, and I told her, I said, "Baby, I said your attitude's acting very ugly right now." I said, if you continue to act ugly, you're going to grow up to be ugly. And she said, what? And I said, and here's the mistake part. I said, have you ever gone to the store and seen anybody that was a grown-up that was ugly? No. And I was like, crap, my daughter's not judgmental. This isn't going to work. I was thinking, of course she's, the diva and the pretty girl. And then I realized, oh, wait, she's 5. She hasn't learned to be judgmental yet. She hasn't learned what the word ugly is yet. And I thought about that, and I had to stop the conversation and walk away because she won. She won by being better than me there. And it made me think about the ugly and when we become ugly and when we learn that word and when we think other people are ugly and why do we do that? That's obviously not something we're born with. It's obviously a learned trait.
Yeah.
And we learn at some point that there is something that is called ugly. And what's funny about it, if that's the case, how come one person thinks one person's pretty and then doesn't think somebody else is pretty, but somebody else thinks that person didn't think was pretty? Is there really a such thing as beauty at all? Is there ugly? Is there beauty? Is there any of that? Or is it truly all subjective to, the person who's looking? And we forget that at times.
Well,
I'm beautiful.
Yeah, that's a whole thing in and of itself too. Yeah, in terms of there's a term for that too, and it has to do with about what we find attractive. So it's not necessarily even saying that's pretty and that isn't, right? So it's about learning to discern that too. That for me, what I might see as attractive in terms of appealing aesthetically might not be, like you said, what you would see. But does that mean that what you're seeing isn't pretty, and that what I see is? No, of course not. Yeah. So I think that's part of it too.
So the real what I get out of that is while there is no ugly, there is beautiful, because I am beautiful, and at some point we learn to think that something certain is ugly because we didn't find it appealing to our eyes, and the thing is about self-esteem, you don't want to marry yourself. That's why you don't find yourself attractive. If we were asexual creatures, you may find yourself attractive at that point, because then it would find purpose. We are wired and geared to be attracted to what we're attracted to, for whether if we're put on this planet for procreation, typically it's the opposite sex, but if you're here for whatever purpose it is, then you're attracted to what you're attracted to for that specific reason. So that's why sometimes you're not attracted to yourself, because you're not here to be partnered with yourself. So think about it like that.
Very good.
It's like that mindset of ugly and stuff starts when you start school. And for some reason, it seems like it comes in the grade schools and the junior high schools that all this judgment starts happening. And I wonder where that comes from.
What's your is that?
Where does that come from?
Do you see that with the kids, where they start in their form their little cliques?
But they're learning it at home. It comes from home, is where it always comes from home. That's what we forget, is that, yes, if little girls are mean to other little girls, it's because they see mommy being mean at home. They hear mommy talking mean about other people. Or little boys, they see daddy being mean to the mommy or bossing mommy around. So then we think that's how, we learn those things. And yes, we learn it at home. And then we look at our teachers and say, why aren't you fixing that? How come you're not making this better?
Well, they only spend 8 of the 24 hours a day with those teachers, so.
Yeah, more like a counselor, than a teacher a lot of times, because I have to deal with all of that.
Well, bless you for choosing that as a job in life. Hey, I stole it. I appreciate that school is coming soon for mine, so I can get a break for a few hours of the day. I'm glad there's folks like you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're going to go ahead and get ready to go into our last closing song. You can dance to it.
Well, play with kids.
And then we're going to play with kids, apparently, is what Harlan wants us to do. All right, so thank you guys very much for being here tonight. And if you will join us in our last one, which is the Mula Mantra.
Mula Mantra.